I worked so hard to make sure that Donald Trump didn't win. I try to convince anybody and everybody not necessarily to vote for the Democrats who are not very inspiring, but to vote against Donald Trump.
Joining us now is Cenk Uygur, who's currently running in the Democratic primary for President of the United States. So Cenk, it's been a while since we've talked, and I'm sure there's lots of updates. So it seems less and less likely.
Dude, look at that Chiron. Democratic presidential candidate Cenk Uygur joins TYT. Dude, what a fucking moron. Oh shit. They've got the Democratic presidential candidate joining TYT. The founder of TYT joins TYT. Dude, what idiots, bro. This guy's working hard to make sure Trump fucking doesn't win by having a clown car show up. Right? A clown car shows up and Cenk jumps out and is like, oh, Trumpy! Oh, I'm running for president! I'm gonna beat ya!
With Trump, I was worried that we couldn't live to fight another day. That I think the 2028 election is going to be the most important election of our lifetimes. I think it's going to be an absolutely pivotal turning point. And
I mean, he's not wrong there. I'll give him credit for that. 2028 is going to be big because we're going to get wrecked over these 4 years. And after getting wrecked for these 4 years, if we don't make a fucking choice to end the wrecking, like, at that point, you may as well just start praying for the asteroid. I'm serious, dude. If we do this again after the shit, we're about to eat shit for 4 fucking years of chaos and fucking dismantling of the government, just sheer destruction. And if we do that shit again, bro, in 2028, like, we deserve to get our asses beat.
And I wanted to get to that pivotal turning point. I want to get to 2028. And so why did I think so negatively of Trump? Because A, he lost the election and didn't leave, and he came up with a fake elector plot, which we talked about a million times on the Young Turks, right? And so that is a real attempt at a coup in America. So that guy doesn't respect democracy or the Constitution. And then afterwards, he said, well, after he lost, that we should terminate the Constitution. A lot of the right wing had never even seen that quote. And so, and I could go on and on, right? So is Trump what we expected? Yeah. And so
dude, he was literally 2 days ago, I made a video tonight where he is like defending Trump and defending Bill Maher. Trump's not so bad. But now look at this. He goes on Sabby 𝗍𝗍𝗪 left-wing podcast and he's like, oh, Trump is fucking so fucking dangerous. And I've been sounding the alarm and I worked so hard to like make sure he lost. Trumpy, I tried so hard to prevent you. Angry video game nerd. Look at him, dude. This is a man in crisis, bro. He's a man of many, many different political beliefs. Guys, this is 6 days later, which means 2 days later, right? This is 6 days ago. So I guess he did this first. And then a couple days ago, he was like fucking snorting Trump's ass, right? Trying to fucking sniff Trump's ass about like the Bill Maher shit and going to town on Larry David.
Yeah. So we lost not only all 7 swing states, but we lost the popular vote. So now having talked to a lot of these right-wingers in those debates and appearances, etc., I began to see something a little bit different than I expected. Well, in the past, when I talked to right-wingers on Fox News or anywhere else, they're just talking point machines, right? And so, tax cuts for the rich are great for the average guy. Helping giant corporations are great for small business. Whatever Mitch McConnell and, Heritage Foundation cooked up, they would just regurgitate, right? So now when I talk to them, that was still 70% of what folks are doing. But 30% was very different. Like, very, very anti-war, when before the Republican Party was very pro-war, right? Whether they mean it or not is really great and important open question. So, without getting into all...
Dude, is this where he's saying, I identified a portion of MAGA that I thought, those are winnable voters. What is he talking about? Dude, he is fucking delusional, dude. I want to go back.
Still 70% of what folks are, Heritage Foundation, corporate. And so, tax cuts for the rich are great for the average guy. Helping giant corporations are great for small business. Whatever Mitch McConnell and, Heritage Foundation cooked up, they would just regurgitate, right? So now when I talk to them, that was still 70% of what folks are doing. But 30% was very different. Like, very, very anti-war, when before the Republican Party was very pro-war, right? Whether they mean it or...
By the way, there is nobody in MAGA that has ever been anti-war. Nobody in MAGA or the Republican Party has ever been anti-war or is anti-war. They were only anti-war while they were saying that the Democrats are warmongers. They said this with Hillary Clinton. They would say anti-war because Hillary's a warmonger, right? And they said it with Kamala Harris. Oh, Liz Cheney, Kamala Harris, anti-war, warmonger. Oh, she's a warmonger. But they are not anti-war. Look what happened the minute they fucking won. They're threatening Greenland and Panama, bro. They're getting ready to fucking invade Iran. Like, give me a fucking break, dude. Give me a fucking break. The Republicans, every war we have had in the last 50, 60 fucking years has been a Republican adventure.
Or not is really great and important open question. So, without getting into all of the details on all the policies, what I did after the election was, guys, if they're really anti-war, we need to build a coalition with them if Trump, for example, tries to attack Iran. And I know that Trump is going to be pushed to attack Iran because his largest donor is Miriam Adelson. And she wants us to attack Iran. She's a hard right-wing Israeli American, but she seems to, in her donations and in her demands, care more about Israel. That's not true of normal Israeli Americans, or certainly not true of Jewish Americans, but it is true of her, right? And so I know, watch out, they're going to want to attack Iran. So if I can, and if all the left does is go, oh, we hate what Trump is doing, it doesn't move him an inch, not 1 inch. In fact, it might help him because he's like, look, we're owning the libs. If, on the other hand, he loses his base or a significant percentage of his voters, then he gets worried. So, for example, he said, we're going to take control of Gaza in the first meeting with Netanyahu, and we're going to do the unexploded bombs and clean that up for Israel, et cetera. And it looked like he was saying ground troops in Gaza. And he turned around on that in 24 hours. Why? Because his base revolted, not because the left revolted. That doesn't move him at all, right? So his base was like, no, we're not doing ground troops in Gaza. I don't know what you're talking about, right? So he goes, no, I didn't mean that, right? But here come the donor class again. So Netanyahu shows up a little while ago, and they're back to talking about how we're going to control and own Gaza, right? So you've got to build that coalition to be able to effectively push back on that, to make sure that we don't get hurt more by the Trump administration, and to kind of open up their eyes to things that are happening, right? So when you only watch Fox News and you never watch any left-wing programming, we can't say to them, hey guys, remember how you were anti-war and you wanted to cut the Pentagon budget? You see how they actually added to the Pentagon budget? Because they were never going to hear you.
Dude, what is he doing, bro? He's like, I get it. She's letting him just run with this fucking thing where he's saying, let me just tell you, I'm the MAGA whisperer. And there's this vulnerable group of MAGA that we're going to be able to win over because we're going to be like, oh, remember? He said he was cutting the Pentagon, but he just put more in the Pentagon. But dude, they move the goddamn goalposts all the time. That's literally all they do. And again, we have Cenk Uygur who will chase the MAGA around the field, right? Here's MAGA running with the goalposts. Oh, we're going to go over here. Oh, no, we're going over here. And Cenk is like, his stubby little legs, he's out there running after MAGA. Oh, they're going to fucking be my buddy this time. They're going to be populist with me this time. But the motherfucker won't even go talk to Sam Seder. He won't even go, right? He won't even go and sit down with his former goddamn contributors and have a discussion, but he will like run after MAGA. You can see it, can't you? That image of them running with the goalpost. And he's just like, dude, he will chase them everywhere, bro. What a fucking clown,
but now
dude.
If you go on Patrick Bet-David and Tim Pool and all these other different right-wing shows and independent shows, etc., and you go, hey guys, let's cut defense. And they go, yeah, let's cut defense, which by the way, they did. You can see videos from Patrick Bet-David, Tim Pool, and the other shows that I was on.
It doesn't matter if they say, yeah, let's cut defense. Okay? I feel like her expression, like she knows he's full of shit. It doesn't matter if they say, yeah, let's cut defense. Because even if Trump doesn't cut defense, they're going to stick with those motherfuckers anyway. They don't care. They might want defense cut, but he could pile on triple money into defense, and they're never going to turn their back on him, right? You look what they did with H-1Bs. Dude, even Laura Loomer, she threw a fit, and then she got right back on board, right? Because at the end of the day, man, their fealty is for the orange Jesus, period. Because he's cruel. Because Cenk Uygur, they're not voting for populism. They're not voting for policy. They're voting for racism, misogyny, and cruelty to gay people. And nationalism that gets rid of everybody who's brown. Like, come on, dude. Goddamn, bro. Wake up, dude. Wake up, man. Like, God, it's painful to watch him, dude.
That doesn't mean that I think that they're actually going to cut defense. So when they actually added over $100 billion to defense, you could begin to see some portion of his voters on social media going, what just happened? I thought we were cutting it. Why are we adding to it? Right?
Dude, I saw like 0% of his voters doing that, right? I didn't see any of his voters doing that at all, bro. I did see Nancy Mace yelling fucking transgender slurs at people at town halls. I saw that, right? We saw Nancy Mace fucking flip out on the gay dude who remember the dude in the fucking convenience store or whatever, in the department store, where she's like, go fuck yourself. Right? Yeah, but Nancy wasn't like, oh, Trumpy spent money on defense. I'm out. I'm quitting. I'm quitting MAGA. Dude, what is he doing, bro? He's like, he is, what? Dude, I hope she rips into him. Please, Sabby, please rip into this man.
Right? So is that most of his voters? No. Is that some of his voters? Definitely. Is that the sum that we need to switch over to vote on our side, or to just support us on those policies we agree on and to potentially move Trump? Yes. So that's a way of building, dude, a strategic way.
Did you see her face? She was like we're gonna convert MAGA voters on our side. Like, really? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's fucking doing that?
Trying to regain the middle. So there's a lot more nuance to it, but I've got a long explanation here, so I'll stop there.
So I'm glad you mentioned anti-war because I want to tell you what happened a couple years ago. I went to D.C. to cover a rally called the Rage Against the War Machine rally, and there were people there from different political ideologies. And I remember covering that, thinking to myself, looking around like, wow, look at all these people came together because they agree on this issue. There were people that were speaking there like 𝗙𝗪cy 𝗵𝗪, Dennis Kucinich, Jill Stein was one of the speakers. And I was like, wow, this is something.
And now, like, dude, now where's 𝗙𝗪cy 𝗵𝗪? She sold her fucking soul, dude, to, right? Isn't that wild?
But then October 7th happened. And after October 7th, when Donald Trump started to smear Palestinians, I watched some of those same people make excuses for Donald Trump. And then all of a sudden, that so-called anti-war coalition that I believed we had at that point in time, it was gone, because as we got into the electoral season, people went back into their political silos and started to defend their candidate. So the problem that I've noticed with this particular type of coalition building, and I'm a registered independent, by the way, is that once there is an election that is involved, people tend to side with their candidate even when they're wrong. Now, to be fair, some of them have told me they do not appreciate what Trump is doing when it comes to Iran, when it comes to Gaza.
Now, I'm still going to go on record and say we lost 2024, not because Donald Trump was more popular or a better candidate, but I believe a significant portion, the numbers show, a significant portion of Democrats just didn't fucking vote, man. Right? If we had hit Joe Biden's 81 mil, we win. We didn't even have to hit that. We could have had 20% less and we still win. But a lot of Democrats just sat it out. A lot of people protested this election.
But they don't regret. They're not at the point where they regret their votes. But I think that's where the coalition, to me, it falls apart, because I see people still find ways to defend Donald Trump, just like I saw people try to find ways to defend Kamala Harris. So that's where I've seen it fall apart. And I felt like the anti-war part was a piece where you could get more people to come together. Same thing with healthcare. I had this conversation recently with 𝗍𝗪𝗡. He's conservative. 𝗍𝗪𝗡 agreed with me on this show that the healthcare system we have in this country is a problem. However, he went on to say he doesn't think universal healthcare is going to be the answer. He doesn't agree with that. So I don't see them moving over to progressive positions. That's my thing.
Yeah, Sabby, I actually totally agree with you, and and I get what you're saying, but I want you to have a bigger picture context. So what you did,
dude. All right, here we go. The bigger picture context. You guys ready? All right, because Cenk Uygur, I think Sabby, like she and I disagree on some things politically. Like I said, I still think you can make the Democratic Party work. I know what's going on in chat here is Sabby is sort of a like, no, we got to do third party. The Democratic Party's never going to be progressive. But I think what Sabby said right there is very fucking clear. I mean, if you think the Democratic Party's not going to be progressive and it's too corporate, there's no fucking way that any of these MAGA motherfuckers are ever going to be progressive at all. I mean, they might agree with progressive policies, but the inherent problem with MAGA is they want progressive policies for white Christian people. They just don't want them for gay people and black people and Hispanic people, right? That's the problem with the MAGA, non-MAGA, okay? The Trump voters may very well want some progressive policies, paid family leave and health care, but man, if the black and immigrant and gay people get it, they're like, hammer down. Like, no. They want that shit only for white Christians. You know what I'm saying?
So for years and maybe decades, we've just been yelling at each other, right? And by the way, I'm totally guilty of that. I mean, so I do tend to yell from time to time on air, right? And online. So it's not like I didn't do it. I definitely did, right? And so, and that worked to win over the middle for some period of time. But now that's not working at all in terms of winning over the middle. And these conversations are. But Trump, we're 3 months into his term. If anyone thought like, oh, magically, you know, some percentage of Trump's voters, let alone all of his voters, but like a big chunk, 20, 30%, overnight are going to be like, oh, I was such an idiot for voting for Trump. No way. I'm now for universal health care. I'm actually for anti-war. I don't want the rich getting taxes. I don't want this, blah, 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 blah. Come on. Of course, that's not going to happen in this tiny period of time. Sabby, what you and I have to do, what so many other people have to do, and what you're already doing, is continue to have those conversations.
See, I don't get this. This is where I have a fundamental issue that is hard, and I don't know like what the future is for us as left people, okay? Because when I listen to this, it becomes painfully obvious that Cenk Uygur will make a coalition with MAGA, but he's not going to make a coalition with the radical left, right? He'll get online with the radical left and be like, I'm glad they're mad at me. But then he'll chase the goalpost runners of MAGA. Okay, so where does that put him? Like, he's not an asset on the left-wing side. Because if all the pieces of the left just coalition together, they're easily going to beat the right. But we have a lot of people on the left that are like, the Democrats, I don't want a coalition with them. I want to fucking destroy the party. I want to find a third party. And like, dude, we're never going to win that way. Not now. I mean, maybe if we had a realistic third party with some infrastructure, we would win. But it is a little bit flummoxing, right? Because like Cenk Uygur still to this day, the brand of leftism that he's selling is let's form a coalition with the MAGA Trump voters, but like the far left and Sam Cedar and Emma and Franny and all these people. But man, those MAGA people, they're mad. They're upset about war in the Pentagon. So we need to go fucking forge with them.
And to actually engage in, yeah, I know it sounds cliched and people think it's not real, but I think it is real, especially online now. And it's not a perfect system at all, but there is an actual marketplace of ideas.
Dude, online, he's saying. He said it is real, especially online. Dude, it's not real, bro. Twitter is fake, bro.
And so if you don't engage in that marketplace, you're never going to win eventually, right? But if we engage today and we keep making our case, by the time 2028 rolls around, yes, we can win a certain percentage of those folks.
Dude, he did bring out the marketplace of ideas line. Dude, that's literally Elon Musk's fucking saying, bro. That's like Linda Yaccarino and Elon Musk fucking saying. That is fucking wild. Like, what are we talking about, dude? And again, though, this is under the idea that the Pentagon budget is really the MAGA people's number one issue, which it is not. They don't give a shit about the Pentagon budget. They don't care about that shit at all, bro.
If they actually deliver for the average man, great, no problem. Then you were right and we were wrong, right? But what I'm trying to lay out to them, and it sounds like you're doing something similar in some ways, is that, but when they don't deliver for you, remember what we told you. Right?
Yeah, that would be nice. But they are delivering for them, Cenk, because they're harming immigrants and they're saying slurs about trans people and they're using the F slur online and getting away with it. So Trump is delivering for them, Cenk. It was never about Cenk. It was never about the economy. Cenk, it was never about the Pentagon budget. Cenk, it's about the racism and being nasty, bro. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.